When you play the Game of Thrones,
Subscribe and like.
you die. There is no middle ground.
Welcome to the Grease Goblins YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to have to talk about that House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 6 ending. What's going on there? So, in Episode 6, we had this plot line that had kind of been set up in the earlier episodes where Corlys goes out and he's basically doing the Lady Stoneheart role of A Song of Ice and Fire, where in the book, Lady Stoneheart is just hanging all these Freys. Corlys in this episode is hanging all of these Triarchy people. He is a generational hater, and I do appreciate that, even though I think they're underutilizing Corlys' character in the episode. So we have him doing that. Alan comes and tries to get him to support Rhaenyra. That doesn't end up working. I know a lot of people have some issues with that because it feels like we're kind of reiterating the same issues between Corlys and Alan. When it felt like that plotline was resolved with Corlys recognizing Alan as a Velaryon and his heir, and then that progressed into the issues between Corlys and Rhaenyra. And we're just going to have to see more of that because I think Alan and Rhaenyra's relationship is kind of questionable right now. Like, why is Alan so loyal to Rhaenyra when Rhaenyra has not treated him the best? I think we just have to see more of that before I make my judgments. But besides the point, at that, we then have to shift over to the Reach plotline. So the Reach plotline with Daeron and Ormond and Gwaine, we see them basically trying to navigate the situation of Tumbleton, and Rhaenyra has this whole assassination plot, which ends up being foiled mainly because of Gwaine, because I would say he's probably the best character of the episode, or at least one of them. I think he was really a standout of the episode. Ormond then wants to try and somehow get back at Rhaenyra, it would appear. This is a little bit of speculation. We're going to kind of dive into some, I guess, spoilers. They're not really like confirmed spoilers, but speculation based on the trailers and some of the images we've gotten. So take that as you will. And so what we end up seeing is, again, Jon Roxton, who is at that meeting where the Baratheon men try to assassinate Ormond. He is present in that scene. But then, I think it's like 10 to 15 minutes later in terms of screen time, we see that Rhaenyra is basically given this note from Ormond, basically saying that he's going to fight back. He's going to get his revenge, more or less. And then we skip to Corlys, who is with his men at night. They're at a campfire, and then he's looking at all these hanged bodies, these hanged men. Very Lady Stoneheart vibes. And all of a sudden, he is kidnapped, or some people think killed, by Jon Roxton and his men. Now, what doesn't make any sense at all is when you look at a map. Again, we're never told exactly where Corlys is, but based on context clues, he's finding these Triarchy men that know about Tylan surviving and that is heading towards Rook's Rest. It makes the most sense, given where we've seen the Triarchy raiders, that he would be basically north of King's Landing, like in between Rook's Rest and King's Landing. And we know that Ormond and his camp, and where Roxton had been in this episode, would have been kind of like to the southwest of King's Landing. So it would have been a fairly lengthy journey in a country that should be at war. And so having him show up to do, in my opinion, another fake-out death of Corlys, which is just common at this point. They've done it like 3 or 4 times in this show. It makes no sense. Your character just fast-traveled over. Again, this journey you would have assumed would have taken days. And even the worst part about it is, how did he not only make this journey in 10 to 15 minutes of screen time, which to me is just terrible writing, then he instantly finds Corlys where, what? How does he even know this information? How does he know where Corlys even is? It makes no sense at all. It is just a plot twist for a plot twist. And why I say that Corlys is not dead is we have seen shots of him at Tumbleton. So likely what has happened is he's been kidnapped. My friend Ricky, or Voice of Old Town, last night said that there is a behind-the-scenes shot or something that Corlys might have gotten his hand chopped off. So maybe they're going with the idea that Ormond is striking at Corlys, and they're going to do the whole, Corlys is Hand of the King, and then they're going to send that to Rhaenyra type thing. But it's so contrived. It's so stupid. And it all goes to explain, why has Corlys been off screen and not a part of the story for the last 2 episodes? Because they're doing this whole thing where they wanted him to get kidnapped when it makes absolutely no sense at all. First of all, let's just get behind the fact that, okay, how many men did Roxton actually bring? We see like a couple men, not many. Why does Corlys, the Lord of House Velaryon, have no men around him? He has like 15 guys. And you might be thinking, oh, well, the Velaryon men are being sent to help Rhaenyra. But that doesn't mean Corlys would have no guard at all. That's besides the point, right? Because two, how would Corlys be instantly found when we just saw the character that is kidnapping him 10 to 15 minutes ago, well far away from where he is? This is to me on the same level of bad writing as season 7 or even season 6, where you want to see like Varys, he's negotiating with House Martell and Tyrell, and then all of a sudden he's back on Daenerys' ships as she's going to Westeros. Makes no sense. These characters fast travel, making no sense. And I think that this is kind of a smaller problem in the bigger issues that I'm going to talk about in tomorrow's video, with the same mistakes that House of the Dragon is making that Game of Thrones made. But overall, this story is so stupid. You're telling me that we had to not see any more of Corlys interacting with Alan or Adam or Bela, or being in court meetings, interacting with Daemon. And so they said, hey, let's have him go hunting the Triarchy and then get kidnapped in the most nonsensical bullshit way I've ever seen. And this is the whole thing, right? I know a lot of people like the Ormond, Daron, Gwaine plotline. I like Gwaine personally, but his plans make no sense and are all very contrived and somehow end up working. I don't even know what to say about this plotline because it's so stupid and silly that I don't understand how multiple people at HBO or the writers for House of the Dragon read this script and said, hey, this is acceptable. This makes sense. I mean, that just shows the utter incompetence that the writers of House of the Dragon are at this point. And it's not even about, oh, this didn't happen in the book. Because, yeah, it didn't happen in the book. But it's the idea that you've created something that makes no sense at all in the show's own continuity. Like, for instance, Gwaine Hightower, he is not even alive at this point in the book. But do I love Gwaine Hightower, and do I think where they've progressed his character makes sense? Yes, I have no problems at all that Gwaine has this new storyline, and for me, is the only reason I care about the Reach plotline at all, because I think he's such a great character right now. I like his dynamic and how he's helping Daron evolve as a character. That's stuff that's awesome. It doesn't always have to be, oh, you have to follow the book one to one. It's about, can you take this story of the dance and help flesh it out while keeping the same story, the same themes and that stuff intact. And largely this show has failed to do that largely in season 3 and, in season 2. I don't know what they were thinking with this change. I just don't think it adds anything to the story at all outside of artificial tension. It's the same thing they did at the end of episode 5. Alicent and Helena get stuck in the walls, and guess what? Goes absolutely nowhere, because then in the next episode, some random soldiers find them somehow. I don't even know. I guess there's some explanation. Maybe Rhaenyra knew about this passageway, and then that's how they got there. I don't know. They don't bother to explain it, so I shouldn't have to explain it to you either. And the other part of it is then, with the next episode, in episode 6, what was that tension even for? Alicent's going to get sent to Harrenhal because she tried to escape. And because she tells Rhaenyra that Helena is a dreamer. It's like, all of this could have been done if they just did the first escape attempt that gets foiled by Mysaria. Just have that be how they get caught, and then this whole plot continues. That makes more sense than what they did. And that's where we're at with this show. Is it cares way more about these, plot twisty moments, these contrived artificial tension stuff that goes absolutely nowhere or takes the story in a terrible spot. And so that is where I'm at with the Corlys storyline, and it's so unfortunate because he's been one of the better written characters of the season, and now they've developed this terrible plot line, but we'll just have to see where it ends up going. So thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys hopefully back for tomorrow's video where I discuss the same problems that House of the Dragon is making are the same from Game of Thrones. We're just repeating history, and we haven't learned anything. So thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.